Okie Finoki, it looks like we're live. As usual, we will get started in 5 minutes. No Deltarune spoilerinos. You won't have to worry about that because I still have not played Deltarune. But that's also for you, Chad. No Deltarune spoilers. I wonder if Kath will join us today. She is not today, unfortunately. But she will be back. I just won't let her take control of any of my streams ever again. That was a mistake. Don't worry about whatever it is I'm doing here. Don't ask questions. Just being very goofy, that's all. Maybe to a disturbing degree, but still. What I'm drawing here right now is me if I were cool. Me on the left, I'm just a silly guy, but here, that's if I was like the coolest kid on the block. Look at that. There we are. Wonder how the stream's looking. Alright. Have not dropped any frames so far. That's good. Beautiful. This is, right here guys, this is what my new Sona looks like. This man right here. Hi, King Quotes Flow. Welcome. Glad you could make it to this one. Use the Copic marker for this. Try to find the right thickness. There we go. Just like that. Redesigning your ox. That's what we're doing today, is reviewing oxes. Here, I'll draw one that we can review just kind of quickly. I think I rate this one 6 steaks out of 10, in my opinion. Change your first die. Oh crap! Can I not spell? I cannot spell. Hold on, guys. It'll be just a really, really tiny E. No, we're gonna extend it a little bit. No one will ever know. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. Can't English right now. No, I can't. I can't actually English most of the day. Most of my time as a human being, I just can't English to save my life. Go try to get these drawings a little bit brighter because they are just too... they're too glorious. There we go, that works out perfectly. Okay, it is 1 o'clock, so I guess we'll just get started here. I'm sure we'll have more people trickling in a little bit later. Let me just get a nice sip of water here. It's more like a huge waft of water. Because I drink water through my nose, fun fact. And I suppose we can get started right away. So, welcome folks, welcome to another live stream. Thank you all for coming in for this one. Due to popular demand and positive reception to the first time I did this, we're doing it again. We're doing another round, another session of OC reviewing and redesigning your OCs. So basically, taking viewer-submitted original characters that my viewers have made, and I just look over them, and I give critiques, feedback, just general thoughts about those characters and whatnot. That's about it. This is no masterclass, I'm no professional artist, but I hope whatever I can say about your characters will help you out. Just take it as like advice from a pal, a good old friend or something like that, as opposed to like some rigid art teacher or whatnot. This is all just to engage in like discussion and conversation and just to have fun. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Hello, Norfie. Welcome. Yeah, welcome to the cool gamer chat with all the pro gamers. So I guess I don't really have anything else to preface the stream, so we might as well just dive right in without further delay. So let's do that. I've already got all of our characters here, just in my Paint Tool file, so I don't have to go scouring for images and whatnot. So we'll just go down the list one by one, and once we're through, I guess we'll all go home and get Burger King or something. I don't know. Yeah, this. Hey, Manuel. This is so silly. What do you mean? That's just me. That is literally just me. What's silly about that? I'm a very silly guy, that is for sure. Oh, just to preface this, I've only got 20 characters here this time, as opposed to 30, which I did the first time around, because for those that were not here the first time, we went over like 90 minutes or something. It was really bad, and I was really getting tired. So just to ensure that we can finish things close to around 3 o'clock-ish or so, I've only got 20 characters, so hopefully that'll maybe even give me some more time to go a little bit more in depth if I wanted to with some of these guys. So yeah, let's get started with character number 1. This right here is Mina. Let me get up all the info with these characters up, so I can tell you all about them a little bit. Now, this character is from Toon Geek, goes by Toons and Puppets on their socials. Mina is one of the main characters of their webcomic, Cosmic Lottery. Residing from the planet Plorb, she's a timid and easily flustered alien girl who, along with her friend Joel, gets into trouble with the evil overlord of the city. So, I will say right out of the gate, Mina's really adorable. I love the colors here, and I just love her face. This design is really good as is. It looks like sad from inside out. Yeah, a little bit. Kind of. But I'm kind of looking at this. I'm curious if we might be able to mess with the body proportions just a little bit, because I do notice that the head, the body, and the legs all seem to be fairly similarly proportioned. So I'm curious, just for visual interest, if we can maybe mess with that a little bit. There's all sorts of different directions that we can go with this, so we could, for instance, here, switch to my brush. I'm more comfortable using my brush than my my inking tool. Hey, Cartoon Chaos, welcome. Glad you can make it for this one. So, for instance, what if we... I don't know, let's just draw her head first. I do love her face a lot, and I love how nice and big her eyes are. Very eye-catching, no pun intended. But I think that's a smart choice. We'll do that. There we go. The eyelashes are very nice too. Kind of like that. I love her smile too. Very wide. Have the cheeks kind of pressing against the eyes like that as she's smiling. It's very good. But we got her head. Let me just finish up drawing her her hair here. Her little beanie. So part of me wonders if we can maybe, like I said, play with the proportions a little bit, so that way there's some more variety. So we can accomplish this by either, like, you know, maybe giving her, just finish up drawing the head here, like maybe a smaller body, by chance, and like making her head like really big. It's like her body's almost like kind of squished like this. So it's almost like it's sandwiched between her head. Then maybe we can really amp up the legs a little bit. So if we get her lower torso in there, or her legs, we can really amplify the legs in here. So we can have something kind of like this maybe. Just getting her feetsies in here really quick with her shoes. Kind of like this. Just drawing in things like really quickly here, just to make a point. We'll have her hands behind her back for now. So something like this where you have like the head, then her legs are kind of in this shape. But then her body is kind of like sandwiched in the middle of all that. So you got like two kind of big compartments, and then like one kind of a small one. And this can go maybe like even the opposite way too. So what if we... I'll copy this on another layer to kind of demonstrate this. So what if instead of, you know, having her body be like the smallest focal point in her design, we can alternatively do like the inverse of that, where we make her body fairly big. So if we did something like this. Let me get the legs out of the way so they're not so they're not conflicting. We'll just do that. Get the back in there. So her body all of a sudden takes up like the mass of the design's parts. Kind of like this. So it just has more room to like kind of show itself. And then here we would get the legs here. And if we're gonna kind of grow a certain part of the body, like the actual torso, then I'd probably shrink some of the other ones. I will weight that. Yes. So something like this. Get her legs in there, her feetsies. That's just what I'm gonna call them. You might actually be able to shrink these just a little bit more, maybe. Yeah, kind of like that or something. So, a very different sort of aesthetic. where her body's taken up. Let me actually just do this, thumbnail it. So now it's the body that's taking up, like, that's the vocal point of the design, let's say. It's the big centerpiece. Then you got like the head up here, and then the legs here that are kind of like secondary to all that. So instead of just having like the head, the body, and then the legs, where everything is just kind of like, a similar width. Everything's kind of equally spaced. So even something like that again. So just like changing the proportions of things a little bit. I might have not have illustrated this the best with it all being kind of sketchy like this. But keeping in mind, like, being purposeful and being inventive with your proportions a little bit to make a statement. So, I mean, like, these are just either or. This is not like, oh, this is exactly how I'd fix this design and solve all of its problems. Because I think the design here is is very good. I'm quite happy with it. But I'm just throwing these out here in the event that you want to play with Mina a little bit and see if you can make her design just a little bit more organic, let's put it that way. A little less rudimentary. So that's what I would say for Mina in this case. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say in regards to that. Just put that in there. Alright. Character number 2. We got this goober. Their name is Harmony Lynx. Let me get some info of the character up. So, this is Harmony Lynx's fursona. Age is 20. Hates harsh light. Same. Loves rain. Hates the summer. Favorite season is fall. Clumsy. Self-taught animator of 7 years. Fave Disney movie is Lady and the Tramp. Based. Loves calm and slice-of-life stories and vibes. Anxious and working on her OCD for over a decade. Never feels right at a party and overly apologizes to an annoying degree. Also has a bit of a temper and will hold grudges on dumb stuff. Yeah, fair enough. Looks oddly familiar. I feel like there's a certain, like, character type here. But it might also just be the fact that... Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So, they didn't provide, like, actual, like, ref images for this character as is. Just more so, like, just occasional art pieces. So I kind of have to do some guesswork here. But I'm kind of thinking, just looking at it, because I think it's really good as is. Like, I like the colors quite a bit. But I'm looking at this and kind of thinking to myself, also Odd Ones Out cameo, if there's a way we can maybe push these shapes a little to kind of better amplify this character's personality. So if I'm just going to draw in the corner here, I might just hide these for a little bit while I'm doing my thing. There we go. So we can start with the head, for instance. I'm thinking probably keep a more circular head shape with this. Kind of like that. Like, I'm thinking I might be able to, like, squash the face a little bit. We'd still have room for the eyes and whatnot. Not sure I would have gotten links off of the ears. I mean, the shape is kind of there. But yeah, that's actually a good pointer. What do Link's ears actually look like? Because I think that's something that's very important when you're designing a character based off an existing animal, even if it's anthropomorphic or, you know, a furry or whatever you want to call it. I feel like there should be some, you know, distinct elements of that animal in there. So I noticed with these ears, if this is supposed to be a lynx, that I feel like we could amplify the lynxness of their ears just a bit more. Lynx ears are indeed glorious. In fact, here's a stock image. Look at how amazing these ears are. They have such a strong triangular shape. It's glorious, and also the hair tufts on top. They're very nice. So I would go in and just kind of reference actual lynx ears. Like for instance, in this case, I'd probably make them a little taller. So something like this. Like that already to me screams a little bit more lynx now that they're closer to, like they're pointing upwards more. Something like that. And of course, if you really want to amplify that, you can have some. I would have like just a couple of big tufts kind of in the air like this. A little hard to see that one. The ears, what am I doing with the ears? These are on a different layer, so we'll do that. You can't really see all I'm doing when the ears are kind of, there we go. Have that a little lower. And then in this particular instance, to really make those ears noticeable, so that way the audience can visibly see them, even in a silhouette, I would have the ears up, but then I'd also maybe try to like shrink this hair down a little bit. I can keep the shagginess that's very evident here, but I kind of like keep it a little bit more on the down low, so that way it doesn't distract from the ears that are like right on top. So just kind of quickly roughing out the general hair shape. So something like this. It's more contained and a little bit less, like you can have it poofy on the sides, but if there's stuff going on top, it's best not to distract from that sort of thing. You don't have to add like the lynx ear detail, but I'm just doing that just for now. Also, I feel like there could be some more neck and shoulder space. But this is also coming from somebody that like really loves drawing shoulders, just solely for their expressive potential. So I'd probably give him a little bit, give this dude a little bit more neck. Do that there. Let's get those big eyebrows in there. I do love the big eyebrows. I think those are really great. Love those a lot. Yeah, notice how much more room is kind of clearing up because of where I'm putting certain things, like compressing the hair a little bit, leaving more room for the ears to really shoot up here, instead of all of it just kind of being jammed in the same place together. Then we could draw their body and whatnot, which you can play around with that a little bit as well. I think that like most of what I have to say in regards to this design is in the face area, because obviously in these photos that I was provided, that's where a lot of the focus is kind of in the face. But yeah, even something like, you know, going back and editing how the head looks can make a big difference, I think. Do it like this. Let's actually give this poor dude a mouth. What program are you using? I am using Paint Tool Sci. My program of choice for many, many years. We're bordering on 8, I think. Been using it for a long time. It's maybe not the best art program out there, but it is very reliable, which is really all I need if I'm being honest. So yeah, something like that. So you have like the hair kind of shooting out, kind of outwards like this. And then the ears themselves, they have more room. It's really, for me, it boils down to like negative space. Having some open room where you can let just parts of the design breathe a little bit. And it helps with readability too, because when you put this to a silhouette, you might actually be able to make out stuff like the ears and the hair, and even like close to the neck too. That stuff is just going to be a lot more obvious if you have that negative space in there. So that's probably what I do with this character. Okay, who's next? Ah yes, good old Billy. this wacky little dude comes from us from Red Stick Man 5. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She's some sort of cat bomb anthro looking thing. Haven't made a lot of personality traits for her yet because my creativity is very lacking. Oh, don't worry about it. I just imagine her as a speedy little creature using sign language, no pun intended, to communicate since, you know, her lack of mouth. I think she'd be very stereotypically cat-like for her personality, but that's as far as I got in expanding her character. You're fully allowed to come up with more character traits for her if you want to redesign her. Either way, I can't wait to catch your live stream later. Hopefully you're here, Red Stick Man. Or hopefully I'll see you later. He's a good dude. He's one of the good ones. So, I love Billy here. This is such a funny, unique concept for a design. I'm particularly quite fond of the simplicity of it all myself. I really love how just simple it is. But like, there's also so much going on too, like the traffic cone hat, the paw feet boots, the bomb tail. Ah, there you are. Yes, perfect. She's bald. Oh, poor thing. But yeah, this is a great design as is right now. But as I always say, when I'm designing my characters, I always see how much I can kind of push things a little bit. So if I were to start off here, give Billy a run, get her a circle head in here, like this, just kind of get that in. Figuring out if I could even draw this design first, for one. Kind of like that. So, in this particular instance, dude's closet is on the street. Nice. Literally. It's awesome. So, in particular instances like this, where I'd just be tugging and pulling and pushing a bunch of things, I would start with, in this case of this design, like, okay, let's start with the pine cone, the traffic cone. Let's start with the traffic cone. What if it was, like, really big for no reason? Like, something like this. Like, it borderline almost looks like a hat now. But what if it was just, like, even wider and even taller? Something like this. Thank you, dude. Yeah, of course. And then we can have her eyes, like, even more sunken. It's like you see even less of her eyes underneath that traffic cone. But you still get those, like, cat-looking eyes. You could also add some more whiskers, too. Something like that, as well, to kind of add some interest in the silhouette. And then we can make, like, the collar really big as well. Again, this is all stuff that, like, can be dialed down. It doesn't have to be this big, everything that I'm doing right now. But just kind of tugging and pushing to see how far I can push some of these elements to really make every single part of the design sing to the best of my ability. So I'm just going to add some eye bags there. And then, of course, we can have the body, which can kind of do like the same old shape. So it can just be like a really big, poofy collar, but then like everything underneath it is like kind of a similar size and whatnot. Something like this. That might be kind of fun. And then I really do love the the fused tail. That's so good. And you might even be able to make that longer, honestly. You could have it like maybe longer or shorter depending on how much fuse he's got, because I see that in the one of the references that his tail is lit, or that her tail is lit. So you could toy with that, but I kind of like it long myself. Then you can have like the belt line. You can have it a little more up if you want to, just for visual interest. So we can have like the vest itself kind of bunch up right there, as if she just kind of like forced it on. kind of like this. Just gonna throw in her arms here, just so they're there. And then the legs, I like the legs and the feet as is. I think they're really nicely proportioned. But like you can also maybe like push the size of the hands even if you want to. You really push the angle of that glove. I'm gonna lower this real quick, so it's just out of the way, so I can actually draw this, so I can demo it. So you can do like the you have really big hands, really big feet, and all that stuff. I tend to be very partial towards designs that have that sort of thing, so it is partly a bias on my part. But yeah, something like this. Just gonna fill that in like really quickly and poorly and whatnot, but yeah, just pushing things just like here and there to like really make certain aspects sing and to be very, just to be further punctuated. Sometimes that's really all you need to take like to make a good design a great design. And I feel like this gal right here, this bugger, is already at a really, really good place. It's just ultimately up to you whether you want to take it, as far as I have right here and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my little take on Billy. Just like that. Making her look so cute already. Digging this design. It is a very good design. It's kind of hard for me to find things to say about some of these OCs, because some of them are so good already, but I want to say something. What, Dean? I'm not even gonna respond to that. I'm sorry. You can take that nonsense elsewhere. What kind of video games do you like playing? I guess I don't really have a preference. Mostly like side-scroller 2D platformers. So, like my favorite games, for instance, are the likes of like the Hollow Knight series, Rayman Legends, Cave Story. Metroidvania's in there too. I might as well throw in a Tomodachi Life in the mix too, because that game, ever since I started playing it in late May, it's completely taken over my life. Not literally, but man, that game is addicting. I was actually thinking that'd be a good live stream one day, is just to show my Tomodachi Life little city, little village, or whatever you want to call it. What genres do you dislike? Well, let's see. I guess first-person shooters have never really interested me in this. Oh, like, sports are a hard sell, and I avoid roguelikes. Yeah, I don't like sports titles. I really don't care for sports titles. But, like, first-person shooter games don't really interest me all that much. I also don't really care for VR. I've played VR games in the past, but, I don't know, I just never feel very easy playing VR games. So, I don't know, I don't really get too much enjoyment out of them. Tomodachi is stinking addicting. It is. I think that will be a live stream at some point, is that. That'd be an easy one to set up. A good way to kill 2 hours. Okay, I suppose we should get to the next OC though now. Okay, so this one is Anya, or Unigirl, I guess. This character is brought to us by Newbie Film. So, They've listed a couple of details regarding this character. Age 10, optimistic and helpful, but can also be naive and oftentimes a little bossy. Sounds like a typical child. Likes candy, her friends, her mother, being a superhero, helping others. Dislikes villains, not being listened to, bullies, negativity, harm being done on anyone. Here's the origin. Was once a regular child until she stumbled upon a unicorn horn in the woods before taking it home with her, and one night the horn attached to her head permanently and giving her extraordinary abilities such as flight, strength, imagination, manipulation, speed, and lasers that all come from her horn. She now vows to use these abilities to help others fight evil and make her broken world a better place. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think unicorn horn is, well, it's possible. So just to get that out of the way. So, good start with this design. I think there's definitely things that I would do to kind of make it a little bit more appealing. I almost wonder if certain parts are a little bit too round. I'm not sure. I'll have to explain. Like, too spherical a lot of this stuff is. Like, I'm not really seeing a lot of use of stuff like straights and curves, let's put it that way. So if I were to take the head here, I mean, for a child character, I think that would make sense. And just from looking at this character, I kind of get, like, impressions of, like, Darren FC a little bit, and, like, her method of designing characters. But what I would do here, just because she's like a kid, you know, I'd probably really amplify her eyes a little bit here. Just make them that much bigger. Kind of like that. I wouldn't leave too much room in the mouth area, I don't think. Just to really make that that forehead kind of the centerpiece of her head design. Instead of just like one like ball, you know. So I could probably push the cheek a little bit more. If I can do this right. I think that works out decently enough. Give it the ooh-woo mouth, and no, we won't do that. Do something like that, I guess. I'm just trying to figure out how her helmet works a little bit, so I can draw this right. Another thing I would do with the head here, in this case, is to kind of amplify a couple of the features of her helmet here, or like the top of her head. So I would really kind of push this unicorn horn a little bit, have that really stand out. And then the way I kind of view her ponytail is almost like it's like a ponytail or something like that. Literally, like the tail of a horse. So I'd honestly like kind of want to push that, just so it's like that much more, you know, elegant and magnificent, and more kind of horse-like. Just kind of have that stand out a little bit more, so the silhouette's stronger and stuff like that. But now, as for the body now, if we can shrink this a little bit, this is where the straight and curves conversation's kind of coming in a little bit. We'll leave her just kind of like that. It looks kind of creepy, but bear with me. Just kind of like that. So in terms of body posture, I like have her chest stick out a little bit, because she's standing proudly, I would imagine. Have her back a little bit like this, and like that. Sort of proportion like this. Just like that. Maybe even amplify that a little bit more. Kind of like this. And then there. So notice how we got like the kind of like straight there. And then we got a bunch of curves on the back here as kind of a contrast. So I got like one part that's stretching out, and then one part, the opposite end, that's kind of scrunching a little bit to compensate. Put her belt somewhere in this area. Kind of like that. She needs to spread her legs out a little bit just to kind of support that very proud stance. Something like this. But yeah, I would probably make... She's like 10, right? So I probably would make her, the parts of her body a little bit more petite to reflect that age better. So something like this. Have her fists just up against her hips like that. Something like that. I think that works out. I would give her like tiny eyebrows too. You can have like the eyes really big, but you might be able to keep the eyebrows kind of small. So something like this. Get the legs kind of in there, the feet. Kind of like this. So something along this ilk, I think, works out nicely. And I think the cape is already a pretty dang good size for this. So something like that. No phone, I do not need to take a break. I'm kind of busy right now. So just little details, little things to keep in mind. Like, again, playing with the proportions, bringing out certain aspects of the design so they read a little bit better, and then being a little bit more mindful of proportions. I think can definitely take this one a bit of a ways. And just help it be a little bit better. So there's that one. A little bit rough, but it's okay. Next character, or I guess in this particular instance, characters. These two here are Alex and Sebastian. They come our way via Alan V, or as he goes on his socials, Altoons. Here's what he has to say about these two. These two hooligans. Cute. Well, why thank you. I appreciate it. These characters are Alex and Sebastian, as I already said. Think of dynamic duos like Ren and Stimpy, Wallace and Gromit, and the OG Tom and Jerry, Dick and Larry. I'm aware of that duo. These two are the best of friends. One is a goofball and the other is the straight man. And think of their design as rubber hose, but in 90s style. Oh, interesting. They also come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. It's best to start with Alex, the black-colored one, and just the head of Sebastian. Well, I can do both. Because here's the thing, the way they're built is definitely kind of similar. And in fact, it's funny that he brought up like Van Buren's Tom and Jerry when he said original, because they're kind of built a very similar way. Hold on, I want to see if I can find this here for you folks that don't know what original Tom and Jerry was. These guys from the Van Buren studio. Two characters that I really like, but they're in really cruddy cartoons for the most part. I want to take them back. I want to salvage them. But yeah, they kind of got similar proportions going on here, and I can totally see that here. I will say that this drawing right here is really nice. Just the posing and the expressions here are really excellent. Give a pretty good picture of who these characters are. And I'm quite happy with where you've got them right now, but if I were to suggest anything, just from looking at these guys, whippersnappers, then I would probably see if I can do anything about their hair, because it's such a cool art style. Yeah, it is really awesome, ain't it? I think it's really good. I love them. They are really good. Oh well, Tom and Jerry before the cat and mouse. Yeah, like prehistoric Tom and Jerry, if you want to call them that. Why they're giving me Goofy movie vibes? Goofy movie. It might be those gloves. I don't know, or just the way they're drawn. But no, that's not a bad comparison to make, because I mean I'd be pretty flattered if somebody was just like, "Man, your art looks like it's from the Goofy movie." Okay, so part of me wonders if, yeah, their hair could be changed a little bit, because I think proportion-wise they're mostly fine. But even though, like, the hair has different consistency, like, you know, the smaller guy's got, like, the scraggier hair than the other one's got the kind of hair there. They're both shaped kind of similarly. Like, they're both very poofy. So I wonder, for silhouette purposes, if it might be worth, like, playing with how the hair looks particularly kind of side by side. So if I were to draw, I think you said Alex was the small one, so if I were to draw Alex real quick, just draw him in real fast. He's kind of a crazy dude, just like me. I believe Van Buren's Tom and Jerry is now in the public domain. That's it. I'm taking them. I'm gonna salvage them. Now, a lot of Van Buren characters are actually kind of interesting, but just, oh my gosh, the cartoons themselves are, let's put it this way, they're either like painfully bad, so bad they're good, or flat out offensive. like a lot of film from back then. But like theirs especially, it made every other studio look like gentle in comparison. It sucks. It does give a Disney Renaissance Age vibe. Maybe a bit more cartoon-like, but it feels like an apt comparison. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a pretty apt comparison. So I'm actually just going to draw on both of these faces real quick, just so they're here. Just so we got them on hand. Something like this. Their stances definitely have that vibe. Yeah, I think, the way they're posed is very similar. Lost my chance, I'll send my OC next time. Well, good news for you. This might end up being a reoccurring thing around here, the OC review. So, you'll definitely have chances in the future. So just getting their heads in here. So we have those to work with. Like that. So in the case of Alex's hair, the fact that it's more spiky, so I need more room. So Sebastian's hair kind of shoots out like this, which I like. I like the fact that it's kind of cloudy like this. It matches him rather well. But instead for this guy here, what if we're just gonna shrink him so I have room to work with. What if instead of having kind of like a similar shape, even though like it's rounded off a little differently, we could have the hair like even more spiky. So something like this. We could still have like the general like hair shape where it's split into two parts and it has kind of a middle, but like we can really amplify the sharp, like scraggly qualities of the hair, while still retaining that the original hair shape. So I think that might be all we need, because like if you just scruff it up a little bit more, you basically got the same thing. It's just more obvious that it's spikier as opposed to the cloudiness of Sebastian over here. So basically what I'm saying is, as opposed to like, if I could draw this quickly, this, like as opposed to that, you can have, well, you can have this. Oh, well, you can have this. Obviously, this is something that you can like dial in on to kind of control how spiky and scraggly it gets. But I feel like something like this would really help differentiate these two, like even further, because obviously the size difference helps out a lot. But if you just change the hair a little bit, I think you're golden. I think you're in a good place. But yeah, not a lot for me to say on these two, because these are really nice characters. So well done, Alan. Alright, next characters. What do we got? Okay. So this guy right here is named Spotlot. And hold on, let me get the get this up here. This guy comes to us by way of Joshua Eaton. Let's see what he has to say about him. Spotlot the Snake Boy is a wisecrackling. Wisecrackling. Yeah, that's a new phrase I just invented. You're welcome. Incompetent and egotistical humanoid snake who was born with ancient powers from an ancient being called Snake Man. He was bullied by other snakes of a similar species because he was too silly to be a part of their friend group. So, as an adult, he belittles, bullies, lies, and manipulates his friends, all in an excuse to get what he wants. His personality is inspired by Daffy Duck, Greg from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, or Adam Sandler. It's always a great comparison. Hope you open commissions at the right time. I'm hoping that's something that I can do before the year's out, is open commissions. Not sure in what form, but I really want to do it. Okay, so looking at this design, I'm thinking of a couple of things. So looking at him, I immediately think he almost looks a little too friendly. If this guy is going to be, kind of belittling and like egotistical and he's just a complete jerkwad to everybody, then I think he needs to look the part too. Seems like a nice guy. Yeah, I know people like this in real life. No, I'm just kidding. So I think a lot of that's just going to come down in like adjusting the face and especially that body posture. That's going to really sell it. And then another thing which I'll address right now is I'm looking at this. So he's supposed to be kind of like a snake man or something like that. I don't really get that impression from looking at him. He actually looks a little bit more wormish, if I'm being honest. So I'm actually going to get like just a picture of a snake or something. If I can get just like a good one of like a snake head or whatnot. Ideally a snake image that's not AI, that'd be really nice. But no, let's just bring this one up. He's cut off a little bit. There we go. So a snake's head is a lot more narrow, that's for sure. So we might want to try to kind of implement that in the design as much as we can. And I feel like that would really help out in kind of showing his antagonism a little bit, to have his head a little bit sharper looking. And as for the limbs, where we place those, we're going to have to be quite strategic about, I think. So with all this in mind, let's get to drawing here. Comes out as that one chill uncle. Yeah, kind of. The color didn't help me, referencing tan colorations of snakes to see their patterns. Yeah, snake patterns and stuff like that can be really helpful. So let's draw this out a little bit here. I'll just put the snake on light. So if we're drawing the head, well, first off, I draw like the whole body first. But since snakes have narrower heads, I would try to keep that in mind as much as I can. Obviously, keeping in mind like form and whatnot as I'm drawing it. But I probably have a snout like a little bit further out instead of just kind of compressed like this. But maybe even have it like sharper like this, so it looks kind of like aggressively nasty almost. Then I'd have, looking at the snake, have his nostrils spread out a little bit more so it's more accurate. I'd adjust his eyes a little bit so they're more kind of unwelcoming, a little bit more like snide, let's put it that way. And like I'd adjust his expression too to kind of fit that too. Because otherwise, for a character like that, this almost feels like an expression he would never make, honestly. Stylized to look like a Tex Avery cartoon, but that's how I envision him though. Good feedback so far. No, I get what you're saying completely. Yeah, I can see the Tex Avery inspiration in there. And I think that's... You know what, taking inspiration from Tex Avery is only ever a good thing, in my book. And on that basis, we could give him like the silly signature Tex Avery nub and give him the hairs and whatnot. Now that you bring that up, that might change kind of how I go about this. Reminds me of We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. Yeah, we're kind of nearing on that territory now, aren't we? So then from there, once I've got the head, oh, did the wrong thing there, then I would probably, so as far as the placement of the limbs go, because I understand this is supposed to be like a snake with arms and legs, is I would draw, I'd kind of get like the posture of the body figured out first. But I'd have like defined areas as to like where a potential like chest area would be and where a potential like hip area would be for the snake. Even though he's just like one line, I want to consider that so that way the placement of the limbs looks kind of natural. So you notice like right on the top here, I've strategically placed, well, hold on, let me just actually do this so he's a little bit more thicker there. You notice that I've got this very intentional area here where like it's almost like his chest is puffing out a little bit. So from there, I would add like hypothetical shoulders here. And then from there, I can throw in the arms. Instead of just having them like in a random spot somewhere. Then we have his arms here, which you can kind of make those look however you please. Since it's supposed to be more cartoony, we can just keep in the typical cartoony hands here. Basically proportionally accurate snake design now, or at least something closer like that. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, it's just gotta, I feel like the design should more accurately represent the animal. Because if you just showed this design to just random people, and they don't recognize it as like that specific animal, then I say this from experience as somebody who's done this many times before, then it's best to maybe go back in the drawing board to better kind of visualize that animal and to caricature it and stylize it a little bit. So that way it really emanates that animal better. So that way there's not nearly as much guessing. I'd add the snake tongue there. Like little simple things like, even like the snake tongue. You can throw that in there to really showcase his snide personality in there as well. And then down here, you know, kind of strategically placing the legs in an area where they'll really fit. And you know, we can make them simple too. They don't have to be really complex. So something like this almost. So yeah, something of that extent right here. So yeah, something like that. So like, if I can just get this snake out of the way, for instance. So yeah, something like this. Again, this doesn't have to be like an exact copy. Whenever you draw this character, it doesn't matter. You don't have to take my advice at all, because it's just silly observations I have. But yeah, the little, like, you know, referencing your actual animal a little bit closer, and really designing the character around their personality, instead of what I've done sometimes, where I design a character, then I put a personality onto them. Something like this reads a little bit better for what you're going for, I think, if you just change a couple of things like posture and design choices and whatnot. So that's the sort of stuff I'd keep in mind with Spotlot. Now you know not to trust this snake. Now you know. This guy, he means no business. He's gonna curb stomp you if you get close to him. Chest was a good touch. Yeah, sometimes that's really all it takes, is just changing the body posture. Sometimes that's really all you have to do, and that'll usually do the trick for getting the personality across. Look at the base species, very important. Very guilty of not having designs read as well. Yeah. Reminds me of Randall from Monsters, Inc. Randall was like my favorite character as a kid, so I feel like that might have been a subconscious thing. I didn't even realize it. That's very possible. Okay, next character. So this character is Vienna Hoffenmetal. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This character comes to us from Jacob Jones. A little brief summary of this character. A highly manipulative German schoolgirl with incredible singing ability and violin playing. Portrays herself as a sweet, kind-hearted girl next door type. Will lead you to your demise, either by making herself look good, becoming shockingly callous, or flirting you into submission. The one person Vienna truly cares about is her childhood best friend, Lorene, growing a crush on her upon her teen years. Sadly, Lorene died, and Vienna could never tell her how she felt. No, that's kind of depressing. Hoffleyman. Okay, I said it wrong. Oh, that's you, Jacob Jones. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so here's kind of my thought. So I'm just collecting my thoughts here. Give me a minute. So kind of an extension with the previous design that I was going over with Joshua's. I feel like there's certain aspects of this design that could be amplified and pushed around that could really make this design sing a bit more. I'm so glad I got her name right. I'm kind of notorious for pronouncing things wrong all the time. I'm kind of famous for it around here locally. So, from what I read there, it seems as though Vienna's kind of a complex character. She's got several different sides to her. So I'm going to try to find ways to kind of push her design a little bit to better reflect those qualities of her personality. So in this case, let's just get like a basic posture down here. So I'm going to do like the classic tilt technique here, where we got like the shoulders facing one way, then we got the hips another, to kind of amplify a little bit more of a, let's put it this way, like a snootier posture. It kind of fits what's going on through her head, how she's kind of treating the folks around her. How she would react if she was just like walking down a hall or something. So if we're just adding this in here, that's her pants, like so. Or you can even have like the skirt instead, like the school outfit. So something like this. Yeah, you got her. Ironically, the one that wasn't was it's actually pronounced as Lurline. Yeah, I kind of figured I was not saying that one right, but that's fine. Again, a big part, like sometimes all you really need is just to adjust the posture. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. The thing I was just talking about. So notice how I've got like, you know, she's got her hands crossed. Probably gonna adjust her shoulder a little bit so it's less sharp. She's kind of tilted a little bit. And the way that I've drawn her body kind of reflects the personality a little bit more. So something like this. And plus, I'm trying to find ways to kind of make the design a little bit more, not necessarily three-dimensional, but more organic as well and less flat. So notice how I've got like the hands kind of angled in a certain way. And the body, you can kind of see that center line I put there to just kind of better show what I was getting at with that. But adding that extra three-dimensionality into the design can be really, a really good thing. And again, you could change like aspects of her actual face to really exemplify her personality a little bit. So, for instance, with what I'm doing here, is I'm kind of shrinking her eyes a little bit. We can keep like the pupils really big, I think. Because, you know, she's supposed to, from what I get, the impression I get is that she's supposed to be like, you know, that perfect girl almost. So she wants to keep that image up. But I'm adding like little things like, you know, the shape of her eye, even like wrinkles, like a wrinkle or two underneath, just to kind of exemplify like how tired she must get from keeping this whole like act up or whatnot, hiding away her true feelings. Give her a little smile there. That kind of reflects that a little bit. A little cheek. I'm going to try to give her a chin as well, unless... Probably just connect that into the neck for now. That should be fine. But just the little things. Again, it's all down to the really little details that make everything kind of sing. Trying to be the perfect girl next door type. Exactly. When you're designing a character, it's really good to kind of get in that character's headspace as you're designing them. And then from there, you can start making choices that kind of fit what that character, how they act, what's going through their head, how they're like on a regular basis and whatnot, who they want to be, and all that good stuff. I'm wondering about this hair, and there's a way that we can maybe make it a little bit more three-dimensional, like something like that. Yeah, there we go. So one thing I would advise with a character like this is to start practicing in different angles instead of like straight on front, because there's a lot you can get out of a character if you start like turning them around and whatnot. You don't have to add the little hairs on top. That's just like one of my signatures, so I do it with everything that I draw. I can't get away from the little hairs. But no, something like this, you know, and then you can kind of expand from that. So, yeah, something along these lines. You know, just further pushing the personality. I copied the snake again. Further pushing the personality and trying to get the character across based on your design choices and how you draw them exactly. So that's what I would say for this character. It is already 2. I need to speed the heck up. Looks done with whoever the person she's dealing with is. And I love it. Yeah, the way I kind of drew her here was if like she's just trying to keep this act up, but she's slowly kind of just losing her patience with whoever she's talking with, and she's kind of getting on the brink, per se. Yeah, of course, Jacob. Hopefully everything that I kind of that I spat out is helpful in any way. I'm glad it could help out. Alright, next character. This gal, her name's PJ. I think. The person didn't actually give me a name. But from the reference images, it looks like her name is PJ. This comes to us from Doodles and Cartoonz from Instagram. Very laid back, a bit dim-witted but not dumb. Likes to cheer someone up. Half Filipino, half pepper. Hence the stem on her head. So, I think that says PJ, right? That's gotta be what that says. Anyways, or is it pie? I don't know. Either or. You decide. So, looking at this character, yeah, you can see the little stem on her head, and I think that's really adorable. So, for instances like this, where you're trying to make a certain part of this character, like, for instance, she's half pepper. If you wanted to make that obvious to somebody who just looked at her, like, the hair is kind of already there, but we can maybe change up the hairstyle and how it's drawn to really exemplify that. So, let's just focus on her head a little bit. Now, another thing I noticed, too, with this character is... let me just draw the head real quick. Just a basic circle for simplicity. Get the neck in there. Get the turtleneck, which I really appreciate. Designs are instantly better if they have a turtleneck. Write that down somewhere, kids. Oh, that's your character? Well, I'm glad you can make it. It's a very fun design, by the way. Maybe you could clarify, like, what the name of this character is, if it's PJ or if it's Pie, for me in the audience, because I'm kind of a goof who can't read. So one thing I would do here, actually, I see this quite often with a bunch of different designs, and this is coming from experience as somebody who fell prey to this many, many times in the past, is in regards to the forehead space. So, like, giving room in the forehead, so that way there's room for the hair to kind of hang out. So by that I mean if I just drew this face in real quick. Just got the goofy eyes in there, which I do really like. I like these eyes, they're nice and fitting. But notice how I leave a little bit more room on the top, so that way I have room for the eyebrows, and then the hair can actually kind of just lay on top. There's obviously going to be cases where, like, you know, the hair is covering a lot of the character's face, and in cases like that, then that just completely scratched what I'm saying. But like with most other like hairstyles and whatnot, I've found that it's best to really just clear the way for the head, so that way you can add things to it. So that way also it's just easier to, you know, make certain expressions work when you have all that room. There we go. That should work for a mouth shape right now. So I was talking about the hair. Yeah, let's get to that real quick. So one idea I have, which might be kind of fun to play with, instead of just having hair, like red hair, and she just has the stem on top, we can have a little bit of like hair on the top, I suppose, and we can have that stem up there as well. Might actually even be able to push that stem even further. But my idea is to give her like pepper, like jalapeno shaped pigtails almost. So something kind of like this, almost. So that way she's got like jalapenos for hair. She's got them tied into like little peppers. And then if you amplify the reds a little bit, so they're more like that. I feel like something as simple as that would really make it click instantly. It's just like, oh, it's like a little funny pepper girl or something like that. Alternatively, you could have like just one ponytail that's like that. But it's really up to you. Something along those lines. But I think that would amplify the pepperiness a little bit. Something like that. No, it's just the pepper pigtails. I want to actually go over these eyes a little bit. No, they're fine. They're completely alright. So honestly, something as simple as that is probably like all you need. And then as for the body, it looks rather good for the most part. I would just advise playing with the proportions a little bit, just for the fact that everything looks pretty symmetrical at the moment. I mean, I'm not doing really that much better right now, so maybe just don't listen to what I'm saying right now. But stuff like this can't be played around with. But I think that's like the one main thing I would say about Pepper Girl is maybe play around the hair a little bit and see what you might find. Just find ways to really make the pepper aspect of her character design more obvious. Easier to catch out for the outsiders. So, yeah, something like that. Okay, next character. This is the Duchess. I'm actually going to zoom in on this character a little bit so you guys can actually see her. This character comes to us from a familiar face, the almighty Milady. The pepper pigtails are a nice touch, dude. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like them. So, just to run down the character a little bit. Duchess is the last heir of an ancient noble family, and because of this, she thinks she is better than everyone else, treating others as plebeians unworthy of her time. Not one person in the city likes her, but they are forced to interact with her since going through her huge mansion is the only way to climb up the mountains and go skiing. She's very mysterious and never gets out of her mansion, but she has a taste for cocktails and liquors. For some reason, she is very good at making them. Does she go fast? Yeah, the Sonic hair. She may or may not go fast. If Manuel's in the chat, he might be able to chime in about that. I don't know. Yeah, she's got that Sonic hair. But yeah, this is what I meant. Where like it's a little hard to add to some of these characters because this design in and of itself is really good. Like I think the costume itself is excellent. Like the glasses are a nice touch. The fact that her design is almost like this entire big coat and like the hat really makes a nice shape too. So there's not really a lot that I can add to this, I don't think. The only thing that I'm curious about, I don't know what you're doing with her, but you're legally obligated to crack at least one Sonic joke. Yeah, I suppose you can do that. Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like, but if somebody tries to touch you in a place that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good. Duchess stew today? Heck yeah, boys. So, yeah, the only thing, yeah, just with that hair, I wonder if there's a way we can make it a little bit, maybe more solid. Because the way it looks, I don't know. We might be able to change it up a little bit so it better fits the rest of this design, because it's not necessarily out of place, but I feel like there might be a better option. Because I'm kind of curious if I'm just going to do like a side view here. Okay, if I'm just going to, I need the side view up here. Just to get the face up here, draw that in real quick. Something like that. Can you do mine next? Has a top head and green head, blue body, and red legs and glasses and sharp teeth. If it's in the form, then maybe. I can't recall a character with those exact descriptors as part of the submissions, but maybe I'm wrong. That's no good. Kids, there's nothing more cool than Valentine's Day, but if you ever feel down about being alone, just remember that you also are alone on every other day of the year, so it's no different. All right. Get that hat in there. Like that. So I wonder if the hair can almost be simplified a little bit. And again, be something that'd be easier to turn around in different directions. So I'm curious if something like, I don't know, like a really long, here, let me get rid of that, that doesn't look quite right. Something like a really long ponytail might do the trick. So kind of, if I can do this, sticks out, I need more room. A little bit like this. So it's kind of like, it's really big and magnificent, but it's also very swooping, and it kind of makes a nice little shape. And this might actually could wrap around the coat a little bit too. Oh, there's Manuel. Yeah, that's your character. Really awesome design as usual, dude. This character rocks. Yeah, something like that maybe? I don't know. Again, the hair for the most part is fine. It's just one of those cases where, like, I wonder if we can explore our options a little bit and just see what I come up with here. Something like a ponytail maybe, or maybe we can have the shape. Oh, maybe her hair can be like curly like this at the end or something. It can either be like a ponytail that floats, or it might be able to like actually... Yeah, something like that almost feels really good. It kind of matches the poofiness of like her coat and stuff like that, to have it like just as fluffy as certain parts of her coat. So I wonder if something like this might suit the character better. Something like that. Just an idea though. But I guess I would say that'd be like my only immediate thought with this character, because otherwise I can tell a lot about this character was very carefully considered and like very deliberately designed, and it's just awesome. So nice work with this manual. Snooping as usual, I see. Opinion on Digital Circus's finale. I could talk about the finale all day if I wanted to, but I'll keep it brief. I think it was in spite of some shortcomings, I think it was a very poetic, very meaningful end to the series. I really felt like it was the most, like, the best way they could have ended it under the circumstances, and I was really happy with it. I just wish I could watch it in the theater again, honestly. Like I said, though, I could talk about it all day. You didn't like it? Yeah, it's gotten a kind of a mixed reaction from a bunch of people. But, you know, that's kind of expected with any series finale. When was the last time we had a series finale that satisfied everyone, you know? So, yeah, up next. This character right here doesn't have a name. But this character comes from us from MorbFan628. She's usually upbeat and happy. She loves the ocean and sea. She also likes to be with her boyfriend, who is a fly. That is wholesome. Two natural enemies combined. Breaking Bad. Yeah. Arcane Season 1. I guess there's been some good ones. Let's see. So, immediately my first thought with this is just kind of bringing the design a little bit, like, more in three-dimensional terms. Like, breaking it down, like, breaking the construction down a little bit. So, for instance, I would probably break the head down, because I think this is a fine enough foundation for a design here, especially for, like, a spider character, if they're supposed to be tall. But I would, like, get the head in there, make it solid, and then I'd get the body in there, like, get the torso, I should specify. So something kind of like this, along that kind of shape, maybe? I'd maybe work to get, like, a neck in there as well. Just so that's there. I thought I moved it down, but apparently I didn't. There we go. So something like this. Then from there I just connect the torso from that. Then I try to make, like, a definitive spot for her abdomen, I guess, because I'm not really sure. It does not super clear in this drawing here whether she's more anthropomorphic or she does have, like, a... Let's say she's got, like, a skirt. I would almost, in that case, think she's got, like, normal legs, right? If she's got, like, a skirt. But I'm just trying to simplify the design and, like breaking the shapes down to kind of better understand, like, what kind of design you're working with, instead of just kind of freewheeling it and just placing lines in places. So, like, again, this is a good foundation for a good design. It's just about not being analytical, but understanding what it is you're drawing exactly. I think that plays a huge part in a good design, is when you really get it. When it makes sense to you. Most of my answers were answered, and just feel like, even though I cried, I felt very content with how Digital Circus concluded. It's not the worst, but at least I'm glad it's over. Now I'll keep waiting for more Monkey Wrench, Starbarians, and Space King. I haven't caught up. I have not catched up with Monkey Wrench in a while, but I remember it being very good. My writing standards for live action are much higher than for animation. At least animation can compensate with good visuals. Live action doesn't have that luxury. That is very true. In live action, you almost have to work even harder for, like, really stunning visuals. So, like, that's why the really good, like, the really spectacular live action directors just stand out that much more, because, like, they're easily, like, leagues ahead of everybody else in treating film as a fully visual medium. So something like this. Now, as for the hair, let's see. I'd probably, like, spread out the hair even a little bit more, honestly. So something like this, maybe. I don't know, maybe this might be a little bit too much. It might be a little bit too scraggly. But again, one of those cases where, like, I'm trying to amplify certain pieces of the design and, you know, just making room for certain design aspects to breathe a little bit. So, yeah, I see that she's got, like, this kind of hair ring thing here. Not hair ring. What do they call these things? My brain is partly fried today. So I'd really accentuate that bow, maybe. Put that above the rest. Maybe have it like stand up straight like that. Then, here's what I mean by like kind of understanding the design a little bit. For instance, like this spider lady, she's got, you know, two arms, two sets of arms and then two sets of legs in this particular case. So I would try to figure out like where exactly you would want to interlock all these, where you want to place them in the design itself, because otherwise, sometimes especially when you have like insect characters with so many limbs, it's easy to kind of just not easy to forget what you're doing exactly, or so you just kind of place them in random spots. So in this case, I'd have the first set kind of, you know, normally proportioned, like normal human anatomy. And then here, I'd probably maybe have the second pair closer to like the bottom of the rib cage almost, or like the body of the upper, the bottom of the upper body. Let's put it that way. I'm saying a lot of tricky tongue twisters today. So something like here. So again, being conscious of that and knowing exactly where you're going to place things. Same thing with the face here. You can have like, especially with the construction lines, we can have the eyes, the main pair, like dead center like this. But then it's just a matter of like, okay, where in this context would we place the eyes, you know, the eyes that are all the way on the bottom. You could probably have them like maybe one off to the side, kind of like equally spaced between the first eye here, then the hairband there. And then another one just kind of sitting right under here. Kind of like this. Like that, and then the mouth you can kind of line up with the face line there and kind of place that wherever that needs to go. So just stuff like that. I think that's just the main thing I would say with this design, is being very purposeful for where you place things, instead of just kind of like winging it. Since that's kind of the impression I get a little bit looking at this design. Not entirely, but partially. I think that's good enough for Spider Lady. Got quite a lot of conversation going on in the chat right now. The only way that an anime show can completely baffle me with its writing, if it's downright terrible, like bottom of the bottom. I suppose so. Season 2 of Smiling Friends was a step down in terms of quality compared to the first, but I still think it's fine because of the great visuals. But Season 1 and 3 are much better, both visually and writing-wise. Perhaps Season 1 not so much in visual terms, but it still really does. I haven't seen much Smiling Friends, so I can't really say much on the matter. I love all the designs I've seen so far, and thank you so much again for choosing my character. I'll go back to work now. Have fun, everyone. You take care, Manuel. Thank you so much for joining for this one. Alright, next character. Business guy. This guy comes to us from Pedro Lama Colon. He's a greedy and psychopathic businessman. He says he's based on a business client of his. Oh man, this poor guy. So as you can tell, he's very scary, and I feel like the simplicity of this design really helps amplify this. He's just like horrifyingly simple in a way. So I don't think there's really much that I need to discuss about this guy. Just especially his shading, man, is just it's so good. And I like the subtlety of like the shape of his head as opposed to his body. One kind of caves in inwards like the head, and then his body, which almost feels like a separate piece, kind of goes down this way. I think that's very smart. A good way to kind of makes him look like an hourglass almost. So I think that's a really smart way of doing, or like a blender even. Hello, hello, hey XL, love your cartoon style. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. So I guess the one thing that I would say, that this is worth trying, it's not necessarily like what you have to do, but because of the nature of this design, I almost wonder if we shouldn't treat the head and the body like two separate parts, like two Lego pieces. So his body's like really solid, so it's something like this. It's almost like just a complete separate piece, and then the legs are just kind of below all that as a separate piece, kind of like this. I think that make a kind of a funny look, it helps make him look a little inhuman almost, if he wasn't already. There's just something about him that you look at him and you just go, oh crap, not this guy. So something like this. But I don't know, other than that, and also of course, not necessarily a design thing at all, but like you can always push the expressions even more to make him even more terrifying. Like for instance, I'd really push like that smile he's got. Something like this. He's really grinning. He's grinning hard. He's got like wrinkles all forming up, bunching up on his face. So that might be like a fun thing you can kind of consider too, is like you can have everything from body down be like really simple and basic. So something like, it's just like a simple tie there, all that stuff. He's got like the noodle arms right here, like this. They're just kind of like flexible little hoses. You got the fingers here. I'm just gonna draw like something like this. Just really simple. But then you got just like that face that's just like borderline horrifying in every single way. Really detailed. You can get really like in there with the wrinkles or stuff. I feel like for the design that'd be like really funny. So I like Business Guy. Not actually Business Guy, his design. I'm not really sure if I could deal with somebody like this in real life. But yeah, that's what I would say about creepy Business Guy. So there's there's that. Alright, next character. This next character I'm really excited about. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this one right, Pigeon. This character is Irina, as I've implied before, from one of my very good friends, Pigeon. I'll read a little bit about her lore, just little pieces of it. She is a princess second born, and heir to the throne of a kingdom deep in the cold mountains. Pigeon would describe her species similar to a harpy in mythology, but in this world they are called elves. There are also different types depending on region. Wood elves tend to live in warmer woodlands, whereas moon elves are in the colder mountain ranges and stuff like that. She was born premature at birth, however, which is why her wings are far smaller compared to the others. They are so small that she can't even fly. On a regular elf, they would be almost the same size as her body. Normally, Pigeon would describe Irina as a bit of a homebody. No desire to really leave the castle walls she was brought up in, and always went with the flow of things while having a bit of a chaotic side to her. Many would also say she has a very open heart and mind and welcomes new ideas. A great tragedy strikes in her kingdom. On her own wedding night, the castle was taken by force and violence by beasts she has never seen. Her parents, the king and queen, were killed alongside her husband. Oh my gosh. She was forced to flee her kingdom with a small band of allies. After these events, she begins to act uncharacteristically. Rather than wallowing in despair, where most it would be reasonable to do so, she puts on the mask of her now deceased husband. He was an adventurous spirit who wanted to see everything out in the world, so that's who she would become on her journey to take back her kingdom and save everyone else from the horrors that will surely begin to plague the rest of the world, and not just herself. So, a lot of deep lore with this character. Really great stuff. So I've actually, fun fact, I've drawn this character several times for Pigeon already as just like GIFs, you know. And I don't know if she's here right now or not, but in the event, welcome, I guess. So I'm gonna try to set aside my biases because you know we're good friends. So I'm obviously gonna be like, oh, this is so good, I love this, which I do, I really do. But I'm going to see if I can kind of pick out anything that sticks out in my mind. So, just looking at this. So she's kind of more of a harpy. Or as she described in this universe, more of an elf. I'm wondering, so I really love like the semi-bandana that she's got on her head. I'm wondering, I don't know, I'm really trying to find something because I love this design. And she's come a long way too. Pigeon's had this character for a long while. So I wonder, so one thing I do kind of wonder about, I wonder about a lot of things, especially right now if you couldn't tell. This is usually how I act when I'm like deep in thought and I'm trying to talk at the same time. We might be able to amplify her eyes just a little bit more so like they're a lot brighter. Because to me, it almost feels, it's more appealing that way for sure, to me. I think there's certain parts of the face that we could maybe adjust, just for visual interest. Not stuff that we have to push too far. So I'm going to try maybe like pushing her nose out, making it a little bit longer, something like that. Get her chin in there. Something like that. So that way her face, like her mouth is a little bit lower on her face almost. So something like this. And then I try to remember to also give her some forehead room, so that way I have a spot for, you know, stuff on her head, like eyebrows. So something like this. And then for her hair, which is really nice hair shape in this. So something like this. And then from there, if I can draw this right, oh my gosh. Pigeon, where you at? Something like, yeah, something like that. We'll go with that. I'll get her neck in here a little bit. Now, Pigeon here, I just want to point this out because I think this is rather cool. In this sketch here, the top left one, notice how like the features like the bandana and the ear in here that are kind of inside the parameters of her head become really obvious once her really dark hair is kind of in place. So that's kind of something that you can keep in mind as you're designing some of the things like inside the parameter of the head or stuff on the long side of the head. So you can have stuff like the ear and then the little tied spots of her, like her bandana basically. And you can have that really obvious if you color and place the hair in a very specific strategic way. And in this case, it's very wavy. But since these aspects, these parts of our design are going to be a lot lighter colored, they're going to be more obvious. They're not going to be hidden away all that much. So if we do this, look at that. None of that really gets obscured. It's there and you can see it. It's awesome. Just maybe, because it does get a little cluttered, I notice, around her neck area. So one thing we can do is like you have like the collar of her dress here, kind of like that. Kind of like so. Just gonna throw on the rest of her torso here. Kind of like this. We might be able to shrink her necklace a little bit, so that way it doesn't really collide with the neck, like the collar, that much. So I'd probably like shrink the necklace a little bit, so that way it's not really we're not running the risk of it like creating tangents or stuff like that in here. So it's one of those things that you could maybe put into practice and see if it works. Now she also does have wings. Now in a case like this, I gave up submitting my OCs halfway, so until next time I'll get through it. I'm really sorry the form really wasn't working for you that well, bud. I have no idea what was going on. I was looking into it a little bit just to see like if there's a remedy for that. I'm not really sure. Google is weird sometimes with their crap, and I wish they weren't. So, but have no fear. The goal is to make this kind of like a regular thing, like a regular fallback thing here for live streams in the future. So, I will have more. Trust me. One thing I might do too is maybe have her wings like shoot out a little bit further from her hair, so that way they're just a little bit more obvious. I understand that she's got like smaller wings, so you don't have to make them that much bigger, but just have them stick out a little bit more, so that way they're a little bit more obvious like that. But I think these are like minor nitpicks really, because again, I freaking love this design. I love this character. So I think that's all I really have to say about Arena. Hopefully I spelled her name right. If you tune in later, Pigeon, or if you watch this like the VOD later, please let me know. I don't want to do your character a disservice. Just get like little blush marks there, because why not? Because she's adorable, dang it. So yeah, there's that character. Okay, next one. You see it's 2:36, so I might have to pick up the pace a little bit. We got 8 characters, so I think we can do it. There's this Chad right here. This guy's name is The Toon. He comes to us via Raincloud Creations. Once human, now living as a slapstick cartoon hero. He's overly ambitious and excitable, seeing the world as his very own cartoon playground. However, behind every hero's mask is a person. On the surface level, the Toon comes off as loud, overbearing, and in-your-face. However, he means well, driven by his passion for helping others, and reveals a more serious side when serious issues arise. So, I really like this guy. A compliment I can throw immediately is the really nice shape language that he's got going on there. And like the nice variety in his proportions a little bit. You know, he's got like the head, but he also has a really nice big torso. He's got the nice big arms, like the skinny legs and all that. So really good stuff here. Oh yeah, that's your guy. Hey Rain. Really good OC. So, just looking at this, I guess the one thing I would suggest, let's see, let me draw this out a little bit so I can kind of better illustrate what I'm getting at here. I want to make sure I do this man justice first and foremost. Get that nice, glorious chin in there. That's a fun design. That's what I was thinking. This is a really nice, it's a nice, simple, fun design. So I'll get his, we're gonna go with the smug look, why not? It's not the face that I'm, like, really looking at anyways, because I think he's got a really nice face. Just filling it in so I can kind of better demo this. So there you go. There's your like 30-second Toon Man face there. I'm gonna shrink this. So I guess the one thing that I would maybe try to do is, let's see, is just keep in mind like the organic, how everything kind of connects with each other. So by that I mean like when we get into like the neck area, it kind of comes off the side of the face there, and then from there, you know, we get the big chest, kind of like this, which I'm really kind of exaggerating here for this example. And then we have the shoulders here. So instead of like there being like a breaking point here, it kind of organically comes off the neck into like the next part of the body. In this case, the arms. So we'll do that. We'll just get those in here real quick. Have him sport his proud Chad stance. So something like this. Toon Man is a real one. He really is. So something like this. And then from there, when we get to his torso, you know, it shrinks. But then instead of like it feeling a little bit cut off, we can have like the torso, or like the pelvis area, I guess, kind of branch off of that. So it's like the line is kind of continuing. It's going from the stomach area into the pelvis. And then from there, you can kind of wrap some of the details around that. And then from there, you can kind of attach the legs like so, and still have some of that connect. So that way all the different components just kind of feel unified in a way. It's all kind of connected. That's usually how I like to design my characters, is kind of have everything kind of like organically lead into the next thing. So in this instance, you got the neck, which I'm actually going to raise this a little bit because his head should be higher. Drew it a little low, something like this. So you got like, instead of like hard breaks, you kind of have everything connecting with each other. Like the big components, it's almost like this right here is almost like one line. There might be certain points where that line kind of comes to a halt and then gets back going again. But it's all organically connected. Something like that. Now this isn't something I'm noticing too much, like to an alarming extent with Toon Guy. But I feel like it's just one of those things where like it'll really take him the extra mile. Because he's already in a really good spot, I think. But just keeping something as simple as that in mind can really help out. So that's what I'd say about the Toon. He'd give great and crushing hugs. He would. You'd have to see the doctor after a hug from this man. Character looks like he should be voiced by Patrick Warburton. Yeah. Sorry guys, but this is how the ideal body, male body looks like. This is what peak performance looks like. Yeah, simple yet effective is how I like to think of him as. That's like the best approach when it comes to design, is simple yet effective. Give him more anti-gravity body shape, kind of inspired by the genie from Aladdin. I see. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Yeah, and I think the proportions you have here are really good. Yeah, I don't think the gravity thing is really an issue here. I think I can tell that like everything here is very intentional. Okay, let's move on to the next character. I think this is like our only repeat from a guy who submitted last time, but I figured worth giving it a shot again. You folks might remember this man, Dennis the Weasel. He's got a little bit of a design upgrade since we last saw him. He's an just to refresh y'all's memories, he's an anthropomorphic weasel who lives in a national park full of islands in the Caribbean. He defends life and the coasts against beach apes, aka humans and tourists, in his free time, and he goes out to explore the seas and steals cocktails as part of his practical jokes. So, as I said before, this is a character that was covered last time. And I hope Atomic Commander is here right now, because I gotta say, definite improvement with the design, at least from my eyes. Like, this is really nice where he's gotten to now. Thank you, Kanye, for this. He's for a cartoon I'm working on, who's voiced by Dana Snyder. Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome. You got Dana Snyder themselves. That's awesome. I recognize that name from somewhere, but it's like I can't connect the dots for some reason. Yeah, the Dana Snyder. So I'm looking at this right now. So yeah, I think the weaselness in his design has been really improved. Like the way his snout is drawn, his proportions here. Oh gosh, you're talking sprite. It is very goofy, that is for sure. I designed it that way on purpose. So I don't know. I guess what I would say here. Let me just draw this man out for just a second. So first of all, really loving this new face. Like, I'm loving the snout. It really sticks out really nicely. It's an eye-catching part of his design. His expression's really good too, and kind of how everything's placed. I really like how you drew the hair and all that stuff. So this design is in a really nice place right now, I must say. One thing I might do is to, again, leave some room for some forehead here, so that way you can properly place his eyebrows there. I can't take you seriously with your talking sprite. That is intentional. I don't want to take myself too seriously on the internet. It's just like, especially for what I do, it's like, I'm a cartoonist, I animate things. So I'm just gonna embrace that side of my personality. So, I mean, it's fine if you don't take me seriously, that's kind of the point. I'm a silly guy. So, I guess the one thing here, I'm curious if there's any better way to draw his legs, because they do feel a little stubbish to me somehow. I'm gonna draw this in a little bit more, just to kind of see if I can get at exactly what about it doesn't feel right to me. So I'm just gonna draw this out a little bit, shrink it so I have actual room, just like that. So I wonder, so for his torso area, I know for weasels it's particularly kind of weird because you kind of, they're almost like the snake of the mammal world, where they're just kind of like one continuous head to a tail. But for an anthropomorphic weasel, I almost wonder, it might be best, instead of treating the legs like a separate compartment, to kind of figure out where the bottom half of the body kind of breaks. And then from there, you can add in the legs there. So that way it kind of all feels connected somewhere. So it's not like the legs are not treated like a separate compartment. It's all part of the same organism. You notice here that I'm still including stuff like the hips in here as well, and stuff like that. So you can add like just certain minor details into the character's anatomy to kind of make things feel a little bit more organic, specifically in the leg area. And I think this is really all you'd need, is just, yeah, separate things a little bit more. Instead of like having the body and then like the legs are like down here in one separate spot. So as opposed to this, you'd have something a little bit more like this. I'm gonna draw his really excellent shoes. This man's got like absolute peak taste when it comes to sneakers. These are really, really nice shoes. Hey dude, have you ever tried dark themed paint tool Sai? Wait, is that a feature? Hold on, you'll have to fill me in on this if this is something that Sai does, because this is my first time hearing about it. And if this is something that you can actually do, I might have to transition to that, because there are days, man, where like I'm drawing all day and my eyes just get so exhausted from the bright lights. I could use something darker. So please, if anyone here uses Paint Tool Sai and knows what this like dark mode feature is, if it is a thing, please fill me in. That's something I want to figure out. Yeah, otherwise for Dennis, I mean, I think that's like the main thing I've got for him, because otherwise, I like his body shape. You know, it's a little bit wider around like the upper body area, just to kind of exemplify like how cool he is, because he's a very cool dude. Dennis the Weasel is he's a Chad completely. And just the minor changes to his design really help like exemplify that, yeah, this dude's a weasel. And he's proud of it. So, I don't know. I'm really cool to see where this guy's gone. I'm very happy with where you've got him right now. So, yeah, there's Dennis for you. Dennis the Weasel guy. with his Elvis hair, which I'm going to color in here real quick because it's awesome. And his shoes, which I'm going to do this with. Oh, thank you very much. Alright, so there's Dennis. Alright, we only got 6 characters left, so we're getting there. Using the dark theme for 2+ years now. Using Psy in general for 12+ years. It's comfy for my eyes. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this Paint Tool Side dark mode because, man, I need that in my life. Alright, next character. So, this fine gentleman right here is named Charles. This comes from us by way of, actually, Cartoon Chaos, who's present in the stream right now. Charles is the significantly taller older brother of Mac, and the only person who can tolerate with his antics on a daily basis. He's a laid-back, sarcastic bartender who dreams of becoming a famous singer, similar to Cab Calloway and Louis Armstrong. Based. He can come off as a stick in the mud compared to his younger brother, but they are usually on the same page mostly. Even when they tease or bicker, they'll always have each other's backs, for better or for worse. His age is mid-20s, and his ideal voice is a Wilt, Phil Lamar type voice from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That is a good pick, is Phil Lamar. So, yeah, this guy is magnificent. Really love what you've got going on with his proportions and his just his design in general. I can tell you've really taken inspiration from like 30s era cartoons with how he's kind of built, especially in that like pelvis area where it's basically just like a ball, and especially his big hands too. It's really nice. It's really good. Reminds me of Max from Goofy Movie. Yeah. Google searched it. I don't remember where I found it, but it's possibly in DeviantArt. But I also have the folder for it still with me. Okay, we might have to conspire after this stream and just be like, hey, can I get the dark mode files from you? Because I don't really know if that's something that comes with Paint Tool Sci as is. I don't know. So, I don't really have a lot to say about this guy. Just looking at him here, because like this drawing down here is it's just so good. Just trying to well, let's see here. Part of me thinks I'm just gonna draw out this guy a little bit. I do love his head shape, by the way. The fact that it's kind of like a soft wedge, where it's a little bit more open on the top. I think that's a really cool... It's a really cool design choice. And the fact that, like, his hair is kind of part of the same head a little bit. Like, the head kind of branches off into, like, the really fun hair shape. And it's nice that you provide, like, the appropriate amount of room for that to really, like, come out in the design. So I think that's really, it's really smart. Just draw the eyes a little bit. Kind of like, just do it kind of like this. So, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out. I might be cheating this guy out of some chin. I'll have to give that to him just kind of like this. There we go. So you're actually being you're doing a really good job at drawing this guy's mouth, because as you can tell, the way I drew it a little bit was almost kind of looking like a duckbill or something. Here's something along those lines. I love the eye shines that he's got rocking in here. Those are really sweet. Man, I don't know. I don't know what I can say about him. Because I'm just looking at him, he's just like, he's perfect. I guess, if you really want to make him, like, taller, you might be able to, like, expand his neck a little bit more. So that way it's a little bit more separated from his torso. Because I'm noticing the drawings right here, his neck is almost, it's very obscured. It's like you can barely make it out. And for scrunched up poses like that, I feel like having more neck space would make stuff easier. So, for instance, if I were to just like do a really quick drawing here, where like he's kind of squinched up, I'll just make this really quick. Like if he's got his like shoulders raised up for something or something like that. Like you can still see the neck kind of in there as he's scrunching up his shoulders. So that way it's not like just a really small piece that like you can barely make out when it's kind of in the midst of his clothes and whatnot. So that might be like the one thing that I've got is just maybe just give him some more neck space and see if that helps out with anything. Because that might help make certain poses a heck of a lot easier. It'll give you some more flexibility for where to place the head and stuff like that, I think. But I don't know. Other than that, this is a this is a really great design. Great job with this, man. This is excellent. Excellent work. Love this guy. Hello, Nova Draws? This fella's new. Oh, hi, new person. Yeah, welcome to the club. We're doing OC reviews. We're just about wrapping up here. I only got 5 characters left. So see, it was a good thing that I limited myself with the characters this time, because I feel like I'm going even slower this time than I did the first. That might be just me, though. But we're getting there. Charles is an identifiable dog. Yeah, you can tell he's very much a dog. I love this man so much. He's awesome. Anyways, we're now on to our last 5 characters. So let's dive into them. So you got this goofy guy, Pepodillo. He's from Manual Draw, or Manual Riachuelo. I hope I spelled that right, or pronounced that right. A green alien who is calm, carefree, somewhat clumsy and silly, but most importantly, he enjoys traveling from planet to planet with his family. So, another alien guy. So, first off, I love this guy. He's so goofy. I love everything that's going on with his goofy head. It actually, if any of you know, it reminds me of something like H.R. Puffin Stuff. If anyone remembers that weird 70s puppet show. Or is it 60s? I don't remember. But yeah, he's so goofy. The one thing I noticed with him right away, so I think all the compartments that he has going on are awesome. Like, I love his goofy eyes and his nose and just certain aspects of his design that he has. They're really good. But there might be certain aspects, or like, this might be one of those good cases where we want to make things a little bit more solid. Because I'm noticing that his head shape is kind of like one huge mass, kind of like this. But I wonder if for simplicity, we could break this up into a couple smaller shapes to, you know, make certain things a little bit more consistent to draw, maybe. Or it's just a little bit more organic. So I would assume that in this case, that I'd make like a head compartment kind of like this. This would be his cranium. Yeah, I love how his name is written too. It's really funny. Pepodillo. I aspire to get to handwriting like that. So anyways, from there, once you got that in there, we can still have like the goofy eyes in there, because like those are awesome. I really love the goofy eyes. But then from here, then we can kind of branch off the cheeks and the chin as like its own separate piece that kind of goes like below it. Kind of like this. So, you know, kind of a similar shape to this, but instead of like doing just one shape like this, we're breaking it down. So that way we can kind of get something similar to that shape, but we understand it better. So it's not a mystery as to where we place everything, you know. I love his eyelashes. I would probably stick them out even more, like past his head, to just make the silhouette that much more stronger. And I'd probably exaggerate certain things even further, like his cheeks, I'd probably make even bigger and kind of closer to the side like that. Just so that's kind of like a bigger part of his face. So of course you can add like little blushing like that for a goofy guy like this. And then I'd try to, again, make some more room on the forehead area, so we have a place for his goofy hair. It's kind of like that. Just like that. And then, instead of like line up his neck kind of like in the cheek area like this, I would carry it over from the cranium, and then kind of from there end up with where the neck is. So his neck would probably have to be a little bit longer, I would assume. We can keep his tongue. I love that tongue. And that can even be brought out even more, just for exaggeration purposes. And then we get to his body, which I want to go over really quick, because this is something I kind of noticed. In these drawings, it feels almost like the body cuts off exactly at the bow tie. So I'm wondering if we can make that feel a little bit more organic. So, like I was saying before, kind of having all of the different parts and components as one mass rather than like separate parts. So something like this, I'd probably have the shoulders come in a little bit around the neck area, like this. Just get his like goofy little hands in there. Something like this. And then from there, I'd probably put the bow tie just a little bit lower, It's funny because he's got like, it's literally a bow tie. It's awesome. He's got like two, he's got literally a bow and a tie. It's awesome. But then from there, like I said, now that we've left some room up here, we can kind of better define some of these forms. So it looks like he's wearing PJs, so we could probably like do a little bit of a neckline there to kind of indicate that this is where the end, like, this is where the collar of his PJs are. Then you might even be able to add like a little line to kind of show the form a little bit. Sounds like some secondary shop around the corner in the best way possible. It's like, yeah, you guys want to go to Peppodillo's? It's like a pizza place or something. Yeah, just, oh, I almost forgot. How could I forget the little pocket he's got on his PJs? That's kind of what it looks like. I'm just calling them PJs because that's just what comes to mind when I look at this guy. But yeah, I would probably bring those up a little bit further too, so that way we have room for where the legs come in, and then from there, I think, you know, pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, that'd be my main things. It's like the design elements and aspects of the character are awesome. I love them. I love this man. It's just a matter of going in there and again, understanding like the structure of your character, and then going from there, and then just making them a little bit more organic looking. So that's what I would have to say about Sir Peppodillo. A very funny dude. I trust this guy with my wallet. I'm not sure if I'd go that far. Okay, next character. I'm excited for this one. Norf. Let me tell you a little bit about this gremlin. This comes to us from Norfy, who is in the chat right now. This is their main OC. He's some sort of rogue brain cell. You know, that one brain cell that keeps acting up. He's kind of dense if you couldn't tell, but he makes up with his energy-filled shenanigans and cold stares. Norf's body is compromised of nubby limbs and green skin. He can contort and stretch into different shapes, but he's no shapeshifter. He can't fully control the way his body acts, and it's based more on his mood. His main two modes are lanky or short because I can't make up my mind on which looks better. His design is purposely made to be contorted and off-model, so that's cool, guys. I'm completely cool with that. That's awesome. So yeah, this is this is North. I want to say North is also responsible for some of the creative energy of the brain he inhabits. Okay, I see. Not sure if I want to call him the embodiment of ADHD, but he is in that street, I think. Haven't figured out the exact lore, though. Feel free to suggest if you have any thoughts. No, I mean, that gels as somebody who theorizes that I may or may not have ADHD in some way. That this is relatable. North is a very relatable character for me. So, yeah, the fact that North is just a character that can kind of just go off-model and just contort in the weirdest of ways, obviously makes it a little hard to go into the specifics of the design itself, because you could really, as you can tell from these really awesome drawings, that North can kind of just be whatever you want him to be. Like, there's no limits at all to what North is. So I'm not really sure if there's much that I can say about a character like this. That's just kind of freeform, and you can kind of make him into whatever you want. I guess the one thing I would say... Well, let's see. I'm trying to think here. I wonder if, like, maybe the hair could be even stranger to kind of match North's energy a little bit. So by that I mean, like, pushing the hair a little bit more to be a little bit more spiky, maybe. Like, a little bit more sharp. Because I get the impression that North is kind of a, like I said, ADHD, kind of all over the place sort of character. So I feel like really amplifying how crazy the hair can get is one thing that you might be able to do to really exemplify the wackier side of this dude. So something like this, like, it's all just sharp. They're almost like North has got, like, daggers for hands or something. Something along those lines. Because otherwise, there's not much I can say, like, in terms of, like, the face or the body per se. Because, again, this design is really freeform. There's really no rules or whatnot to who this character is or what they look like. And I think that's awesome. I think we need more characters like that. Yeah, something like that. It's glorious. Thank you. This is like my first time drawing the man, the myth, the legend, North, so I'm trying my best here. But, like, especially for, like, I'm thinking for, like, really out there expressions with North. That'd be, like, my first instinct that I want to do is really amp up the spikiness of the hair. So instead of making it a little softer around the edges, I really just push it. Oh, let's bring this forward. Really push the hair. Just kind of like that. So something like that I think could work really, really well with a fellow like North. But, I don't know, that's... I mean, I hate that I can't really add more, but that, I guess, would be my main thing with North. It's just, obviously, you've messed around a lot with, like, what North could be or should be or whatever, just based on these drawings here, which are, again, these are marvelous. These are actually beautiful. So I don't know. I guess take what I say with a grain of salt or whatever, but just know that North is the GOAT. He is the best. Holy script, yeah. he just saw something that is just gonna scar him forever. What's about Sasha? Is that you? Is that your character, Sasha? I was actually a little bit confused by this submission because I wasn't really sure what to make of it. So I'm assuming this character comes to us by way of Sasha STV, and the only description that they gave me was Sasha's history. Yeah, of course, Norfie. You should be proud of making a design as glorious as this. And just having fun with a character to this degree. I feel like more animators and cartoonists should embrace this level of freedom. That's what I try to shoot for in my own stuff. So, this is like a prehistoric timeline. Almost, yes. STV. Okay, so this is your character, I guess. So, I don't know if you want to explain a little bit of like what's going on exactly. But as you can see, this is almost like a prehistoric evolution of these characters, I guess. I'm not really sure what this all means. So, I'm assuming we got several nows. I mean, I could ultimately cover all, like, the 3 of the nows, I guess. That's why I like your stuff. You're not a slave to a model sheet. I feel like that's, like, the best way to draw our animated characters, not feel so restricted by the model. Because what I'm after is, like, the personality and, like, the emotions that character is, like, has and, like, what their thought process is that I'm really trying to express rather than, like, correct drawings or whatnot. I mean, I'm fine drawing on model, but I really like just being raw with my drawings, if that makes sense. Just going completely loose with it and letting the emotion and the drive and the momentum of the character drive the acting and the posing and all that stuff. That's really what I shoot for with my personal work. That's why modern SpongeBob is so creative visually. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, like Stickman. Okay. So, let's see. So I guess these 2 designs right here, these ones, I feel like are so simple that I'm not really sure what else I could add. Because they are they are intentionally supposed to be simple. So I feel like that works out. But as far as, I want to go over this character real quick, because I've got, just draw the purple guy. Okay, I'll just draw the purple guy. So I noticed a couple of things. I think the biggest issue that I'm seeing right now is just lack of clarity. Because I'm looking at this current drawing right now, and I'm having a little bit of trouble deciphering what this is, for example. Like, I think that's supposed to be a nose. And also, like, the size of the legs, too, and just how this character is built in general. It's kind of tough to tell what's going in. So, this is, like, one of those things where I really would, like, break in and kind of figure out, like, what makes this character tick as a design, from a design perspective, and kind of solve that first. This is why starting off with, like, simple shapes is really important. So that way you're not just, like, piling a bunch of different random things on top of each other. You're building something that, with simple building blocks, and then from there you're able to kind of go over and do something with it. Classic Sasha, just Sasha, new Sasha, and the purple guy. I think I get what you're laying down. So in the case of purple guy over here, I would like simplify to just a couple of shapes. So I'm starting off with like a oval type head. And then we got that body, which it doesn't look like they've got a neck, so I'm just gonna go with it. Then we got the nose, which is just one simple shape. Right there. I think the mouth kind of comes in like this side a little bit. I get those eyes in there, using that center guideline to kind of, in perspective, place where I want my eyes to be. So something kind of like this. Like that. Now for this hair, well, let's actually get this like tie in first, just so that's kind of in there. This hair I would try to make an effort to simplify a little bit with just how it's placed, because there's a lot going on with it. So in this particular instance, I'd maybe have, like I'd treat these like her ponytails, or their ponytails, or something along those lines. Kind of like this. And I have them shooting out a little bit. They're angled in a way where they're not going to get in the way of stuff like the nose or the face or whatnot. In fact, I'll actually do the other one like this. So it's kind of in perspective. And then from there, notice I got like a really huge bow tie. I want to make room for that bow tie so that way you can actually see that. So I'll just do like the little hair on top there. And then from there, we can add that bow tie. I'll try to add it, if I can draw it right. Kind of like this. So that way you can see it. That way nothing is obscuring it, and it's got like the appropriate space you need to let it breathe. And then I'd also add like a spot where like you can denote where the head is. And again, I really would advise leaving some forehead room. So that way you have room for, you know, eyes and like eyebrows if you want to add those in there. Not sure if that pertains to this particular character, but that's something that you can do. I see they've got like a cape and stuff. Same with the arms. Like try to find like a simple shape that you can kind of always come back to when you're drawing this character. So something like this. You can, and from there you can kind of more easily angle the arms in a way so it actually looks like the arms are in perspective a little bit more. So something kind of like that. Like purple, like like chef hat, like purple chef hat. Oh, is that what that is? Oh, okay. Oh, I see it. Yeah, so, okay. Then let me redo that. See, this is why when you're designing a character, it's important to make things clear. So in this particular instance, I'd really make that chef hat like really obvious. So kind of like this. So it really shoots out so you don't miss it. And then this tuft of hair, like on the top, I would put lower. So something like this. So it's kind of like a luff of hair that's kind of coming out of the hat, but that way it's not in the way, because when there's so much in the way of the hat, like I could not tell that was supposed to be a chef hat. So as a designer, as you're making a character design, it's important that you design certain elements in a way where that stuff is going to be readable to people that are just looking at your design for the first time, for instance. I think that's very important. Then from there I'd get the other leg in here, kind of like that. And then the cape is fine, but just make sure, again, that it's kind of, you know, like that. And whatnot. So, yeah, again, just making sure aspects of your design are, you know, they have the space, the room to kind of stand out on their own, and that things are separated in a way, you know, where people can actually tell what they're looking at. I think that's really important. I think that's all I have to say with regards to this character, though, is just all of that, really. The few things to really watch out for. Just have this character up here, I guess. We'll figure that out later. Okay, we're down to 2 characters now, so let's go to that. Okay. Second to last character. This right here is Sophie. This comes to us by way of Brainy Brawlers. They say here, Sophie is a squirrel character from a comic project they're currently developing. Her personality and story are still evolving, but she's intended to be expressive, energetic, and emotionally driven. The project focuses on character relationships, adventure humor, and a stylized cartoon world. So, my first thought with this character immediately is, so this might be a little bit tough for me to explain. Yeah, anytime, Sandy Garmish. Anytime. Hopefully whatever I said there was helpful to any extent. So my immediate thought is, okay, so we're designing a squirrel character. So I would want to look up, like, what a squirrel kind of looks like. again, whenever I'm designing any animal character, or any character that's based on a specific animal, I always try to make it a point to look at the subject themselves and see what I can kind of get from it. So an image like this would be a good one to start off with, I think. Yeah, a little bit of a squirrel like that. So I will say, this is just a taste thing. So I'm not saying this is fact or anything, but I particularly for anthropomorphic characters, I am more partial towards designs that are a little bit more similar to their animal counterparts than flat out like really like human anatomy. So in this particular instance, I would almost want to make a character like Sophie a little bit more squirrelish with how she's drawn. So instead of like a head shape like this, I'd probably make it a little bit more, I'll just hide that, a little bit more squirrelish. So by that I mean, look at the head in there. So for instance, we could still add like human characteristics to the design itself, but I want to find a way to make it a little bit more, like I said, true to life. So we're going to add, like, we can still add like the big forehead, for instance, that she's got. And I'll put her eyes kind of like around this area or something like that. But I'd probably separate them a good deal to kind of match, you know, the fact, how squirrels' eyes usually work. So I'd probably have her face a little bit more horizontal, the way it's built, to kind of match that of a real squirrel. So something kind of like this, maybe. Get her eyebrow in there, we can have that. And give her a nice big pupil. Get an eyelash in there, because why not? So you can tell I'm still adding like some anthropomorphic elements to this, but now I'm just combining that with what I see in this squirrel, basically. And I'd probably make her ears just a little bit bigger, or maybe just a little bit more squirrel-like, kind of like this. And I'd probably have them a little bit more to the side, like a real squirrel. And just for the sake of it, I'd probably, to add some interest, might give her some hair, just some little floofs. Gives her a little bit more energy to have some like fluffs of hair, some tusks of hair. Makes her look a little bit more messy, which is really just true to life because squirrels are messy. You can even add whiskers on there if you want to. And then from there, we can add like a neck. Then I'd kind of like build the body a little bit more. I feel like I'd almost make it a little bit shorter. And I'd make the body just a little bit more bean-like as well, potentially. Like, it can still have, like, the compartments, like the upper body and the lower body sort of thing. But you can make it a little bit more pudgy and squirrely, rather than just, like, a female build, almost. So something kind of like this feels good. And from there, I'd almost, like, want to make her shoulders a little bit broader, too. And then I'd add some of that, like, squirrel, like, arm anatomy in there as well. Where, like, it kind of tapers off, is a little bit wider, closer to like the elbow area, kind of like this. And then the hands are a little bit more. Squirrels have a little bit more like just little fingers as opposed to like full-on paws with claws or whatnot. They're almost like tinier hands. So that's something that you can maybe play around with. Same here. Get the hand in there. Get those little tiny fingers in there. So from there, you have something a little bit more like this. And again, you can add like little human touches in here, like a collarbone and whatnot. You can still proportion things similarly, but enough so it still looks kind of more animal-ish, rather than like a person that just so happens to be a squirrel. Especially if you want like a more playful design, or a playful personality after for Sophia or whatever. This might be a good way of doing it. And then from there I'd add something like the tail, which I'd make I'd probably try to actually make it a little bit more like typical squirrel tail posture. So a lot of squirrels, their tails are actually quite thin for the most part. They just have a lot of hair on them. So I'd probably do something a little bit more like this. So like it can bunch up a little bit closer to the center, but right here is just like by the tip it gets like really nice and thin, like that. So for Sophia, that's kind of what I would suggest moving forward. Oh my gosh, I just drew I drew it on the same layer. Right? Or no? Oh, I drew the tail on a different layer. That's what's going on. I thought I was more organized about this, but apparently not. But no. Just in general for animal characters, not just having that like the human proportions if you're drawing them anthropomorphic, but also getting as much of the actual animal in there as you can. That's something I really value. All right, we are on to our very last character, and it's 3:26, so we're not doing that bad on time right now. We should be able to finish in a more timely manner this time. We are ending off with, like your little hands, thank you. We're ending off with Tessa right here. So let me tell you a little bit about this gal. Comes to us by way of well, okay, I can't tell if that's the name of the artist or the name of the character. Tessa Mary Rodriguez. So either or, I guess. Tessa is energetic, athletic, and fearless. She loves trying new things and is often the first person to jump into action whenever the group faces a challenge. While she appears confident on the outside, Tessa sometimes worries about disappointing others. She encourages Suko, who I think is actually a character I've covered on this series before, to take risks and helps push the group forward whenever they hesitate. So that's a little bit about Tessa. First off, she is very cute. She's very adorable. I love those eyes, and I really love that hair, honestly. I guess the main thing here, again, which I kind of sound like a broken record at this point with all the points that I'm making. She would have been part of a dress-up doll line, something like Barbie or Monster High. Something like that, yeah, I can kind of see that. So something I would do is just make the drawing a little bit more solid. Like the design itself just more solid, with more solid construction. Because I like all the aspects that this design has. Like, I really do. It fits the character very well. But I would just go in and just really kind of solidify things. So in this particular instance, got that. I'll get the cheek in there. Just like kind of like that. That feels good. Again, what I would do in this particular case, again, really leaving some more forehead room. So that way there's a place for her hair to kind of sit. Kind of like that. I'll draw it the opposite way since I'm drawing in a different direction. So something like this. She's very colorful. Yeah, I know. She's got really nice colors. Like, I really do love the color of her hair, for instance. It's very nice eye-catching yellow. Something like this. So yeah, a little bit more room in the forehead, so that way you have room for stuff like the eyebrows and whatnot. So that way it doesn't look like her eyes are kind of interfering with the placement of her hair, per se. Just something like that. Give her a nice white smile. Something like that. I'll just roughen her ponytail real quick just to make this a little bit more complete. Yeah, I think the hair itself, we'll have it actually to this side because why not? We can do whatever we want. Because it looks cute. Looks kind of funny. Then we got that little hairpin on the other side. Again, extra points for the collar, like the turtleneck looking thing. Instant points on your OC for having something like that. That's just like bonus points for your character design if it just has that. I'll just instantly like it more. But yeah, for something like the torso, I would try to split that up into several different compartments. So you got like the upper body right there, keep an eye on like that rib cage and stuff. So that's all one compartment. And then we got the lower body down here, which kind of goes into that. I might shrink her head a little bit so that way I can actually access said body. Like, this actually might be able to be brought up. Like, I can probably compress this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That feels better. And then from there, you can kind of figure out where the hips are going, where the legs are going to connect. And then from there, even if you got something like this, where she has a bit of a skirt, like, kind of around this area, so you don't really see exactly where her legs kind of connect and stuff, I think it's still kind of important to plan this stuff ahead of time. So that way, in case, like, what if you needed to give the character, like, a different outfit, for instance? Then that won't really have to be a mystery as to, like, where you put a bunch of this stuff. As in, like, where her legs go. And stuff like that. So, stuff like this, just playing ahead of time. How expressive you made her eyes look. Oh, why, thank you. Eyes, I really try to prioritize my eyes as much as I can. To me, they are the... As it has been said many, many times, it's like they are the window to the soul. There we go, something like that. We'll get her hair kind of like this. See, I probably could have drawn her hair a little bit differently. So that one's definitely on me. I'll have her hands kind of more like noodly here. Just because, you know, she looks a little bit more younger, a little bit more energetic, so I feel like something like this would be fitting for her. For someone so silly. And I love silly characters a lot. Something like this. So one thing I'm noticing, like, in here, this is more so just like a drawing thing. Definitely keep a close eye on the construction of your hands. Because this is kind of kind of like one whole part. So hands are kind of made up of several different compartments. So you've got like the palm itself. And then from there you got the thumb, which is kind of its own separate piece. But it's got like a base for that thumb. And then from there, like right above it, right above the palm, is where you get your fingers in there. Now the fingers, they're split up into like 3 different spots. So you got like one part there, one compartment there, one compartment there. Obviously you don't have to include every single one of those, especially for a design as simplistic as this. But it's good to be mindful of stuff like that as you're drawing a hand. Like the different parts. So that way when you ultimately draw it, it feels more organic and it feels a little bit more real. Instead of just kind of being like a mass like this. Because sometimes it can be a little hard to... It's a little hard to believe in that, you know. If the way I phrase that makes sense. But I would say, those are probably my main thoughts with this character here. But otherwise, really fun. I really like this character. And with that, we've gone over every single character. And it's only 3:34. Oh my gosh. Instead of it being like 4:30 or something like the first time I did this. Let me get some water quick. Ah, good golly. Well, I think this went really smooth. And I think the fact that I had less characters to work with and focus on gave me some freedom to spend a little bit more time on the characters that I really wanted to go over, and the ones that I really had, stuff about that. I solved the hand problem by not giving my guy any. That's a good way of doing it, is to not even worry about the hands. I understand that like hands are kind of the bane of existence for a lot of people, including me. So yeah, I completely get it. But nah, really great characters submitted this time around. Again, I was kind of like, for several of these guys, just trying to find things to really say, because I feel like a lot of these designs are in really good places. Like, a lot of them feel right. I can tell a lot of them are very cautiously and very considerately done. Just the way everything's kind of placed together. And it was fun seeing some familiar faces again this time around. That's always fun, especially characters that I've covered before, like Dennis the Weasel, and just seeing how far they've really come. It's cool to see that sort of improvement. So yeah, that's about it on my front. I don't really have anything else. I didn't plan anything else for this stream. I got through every single character that I wanted to. So thank you all for tuning in for this one. It didn't get nearly as much publicity or advertisement as my first time ago at this. YouTube and Instagram both kind of schemed together and kind of buried this one under the rug for some reason. But I'm really thankful for all the submissions that I did get and for all the audience engagement. This was a great time. Really fun. And yeah, let's definitely make this like just a regular thing in general, because I feel like it's nice that I'm able to connect with the audience and kind of see what cool art that they're cracking out, and just gives me an opportunity to discuss, my artistic soapbox a little bit. So kind of a nice way for me to do that as well. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in for this one. It was really fun. Glad you're all able to make it. And be sure to tune in. Let's see, when's next stream? July 30th. Mark that on your calendars. We are already approaching halfway through 2026. I am definitely not having a crisis right now. Hooray. So, thank you all for coming in for this one. Really appreciate y'all, and we will see you all next time. And I promise we'll definitely do more of these OC review sessions. Anyways, bye-bye, folks. Y'all take care. See ya.